Hello and welcome back to Rosie Sews Modern Vintage. I'm Rosie and it's really lovely to have you here today. So, have you heard about the So Frugal 2022 challenge? It is a really exciting challenge that is being run by the Yorkshire Sew Girl, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but I think it's Frugal Isabel. I'll put their names down on the bottom here. That is Ruan and Sam. And they always used to run the challenge when it was called Frugal Frocks. But this year they decided to change it up a bit and include any free garment. So just to talk a little bit about what the Frugal Challenge is, if you haven't watched any of the other YouTube vlogs in this series from other makers, the idea is that you choose some fabric from your stash that you've already got, and then you choose a pattern that you don't have to pay for. So it needs to be freely available for anybody to download or to use. And you make that up during the month of March. And then on the 31st of March, there's a big reveal day. Everybody uses the hashtag SoFrugal22 and we all get to see everybody's fabulous makes. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the ideas that I had for the Frugal Challenge, but something a little bit different where you actually don't need a pattern at all. So let's get straight into it. So yes, we're talking all about free patterns today. Now, there are some fantastic free patterns that are out there. They may have already been mentioned by some of my fellow vloggers. They may get mentioned later on. So I won't go over too many, but for me, my three sort of standout favourites are the Sabina skirt by the Little Pomegranate. You will have seen that I recently made that in a yellow animal print crepe, so have a look on my Instagram for that. The Elemental skirt by So 7, I've made a couple of those. That's a free download. Both of those are if you join up to their mailing lists, you get those patterns for free. And then the third one has got to be the Sorbetto top by Seamwork. A really cute little top that's perfect to go with lots of outfits for the summer. So those are just a few of the free ones that I really like, but I want to focus today on patterns that or garments that you don't need a pattern for. So I've got two skirts, a top and a scarf idea for you. So let's start with the top. Now, my idea for this top came from a garment that I made back in July 2019 for a challenge run by Sue Stoney. It was called Scarf Refashion. Very simple. And I had this beautiful scarf in my collection that I had kept for years because I thought it was just such pretty fabric, and it had a beautiful crochet lace trim on it. But I never ever wore it because it just didn't seem to go with any of my clothes. It was like a thin fabric, so it didn't work for winter, but then in the summer I was always too hot, so I didn't wear it in the summer either, that kind of situation. So when I saw the scarf refashion, I thought this is the time to use it. So I measured how wide the scarf was, and it was absolutely enormous. And I managed to make a top out of it. So here is a picture of me wearing the top. For some reason I've chopped my head off, so you can't see my face, but it is me, I promise. And as you can see, because I chose carefully where the kind of pattern placement was, I think it works really well as a top. And you can see the crochet trim along the bottom as well. This is a very boxy top. This is in fact made of two squares or rectangles, but cinched in with a belt or tucked in, it looks absolutely fab. So I'll just run through very quickly how you make the top. So first of all, you're going to need your two squares or rectangles of fabric. You can use a scarf, or you can use some fabric in your stash to work with the So Frugal challenge, or you can even use an old sheet or duvet or anything like that. It's just got to be something that you haven't gone out to buy, especially for the challenge. Now you're going to need to measure from your mid upper arm, kind of about here, to your other mid upper arm when you've got your arms out like that. So it might be something that you'll need a friend to do for you, or a partner, just to measure that. You might be able to do it yourself, but it might be a bit fiddly. And then once you've got that required measurement, you need to then measure from your neck down to the length you want the top to be. So I would sort of say high hip kind of height. Once you've got those two measurements, then you can cut 2 squares in those dimensions. You might want to add an inch for seam allowances and things like that, depending on how specifically you want it. But generally you're just going by where you want your sleeve to finish plus a little bit of seam, and where you want the top to finish plus a little bit of seam. So once you've cut out your 2 squares or rectangles, then you need to hem all 4 sides. Now, if you're doing it on an overlocker, obviously you only need to fold it over once. But if you're not finishing the seams in any way, you'll need to fold over all your hems twice. So make sure you don't do them too big, depending on how much seam allowance you've allowed. Now, if you'd like to have some trim, it's at this point that you either need to put the trim on the neck, the sleeve, or the waist. So do that at that point. And then you simply sew your squares or rectangles together. So I'm just looking at my measurements here. I generally allowed a 20 to 25 centimetre gap along here for my head and shoulders. So you want to sort of measure in to make sure that you've got an even amount of fabric either side for your neck hole. That needs to be 20 to 25 centimetres. You can measure your head and do your own calculations, and if you think that your head is smaller and your shoulders are narrower, then maybe you need to make that hole a bit smaller, but that's what you need to do for that. And then for your side seams, again, allow kind of 20 centimetres, or if you're very petite, you might want to just measure, see how 20 centimetres looks on you as an armhole size, and then sew the seams down the side, and then you are done. It is that simple. As I say, dress it up with a belt or tuck it in, do like a little French tuck it in at the front of your trousers and leave it out at the back. You can also add a bit of elastic in the back to give a bit of shaping if you want to. There's all sorts of things you can do. Add waist ties, lots of things that you can sort of add your own little unique tweaks to it to make it your own. So that was for the top. The second thing is there are 2 skirts that I make without using a pattern. The first one is the circle skirt, and you know that I recently made a circle skirt. I'll link the video that I did about that so that you can see the tutorial. But circle skirts are possible no matter what your size, even if you're plus size. My waist is 42 to 43 inches, and you could go much bigger as well, and you could still make a circle skirt out of 2, possibly 2 pieces. Might need to be more, but it is possible. So I'll link that in my description. You can have a look at my video about that. I also, a long time ago, did a video on how to do a half circle skirt, so I'll also link to that video on how you could do your half circle. And then of course we have a gathered skirt. Now a gathered skirt is super simple to make. If you need a pocket pattern piece, the Dressmaker's Closet, who's on Instagram, the lovely Jane, she has a free download on her website with a pocket pattern, so I'll put a link to that in the description box as well. If you want a written tutorial, there is actually one in Tilly and the Buttons Love at First Stitch book, which you can have a look at, but otherwise I will write a description in the box below as to how to make it. And the final garment I wanted to talk about is something that actually you wouldn't be able to enter into the competition for So Frugal because it's not actually counted as a garment, but it is a lovely accessory to have in your collection, and that is an infinity scarf. I've made a couple of these scarves, put some photos here. I really love them. They're so easy to make, and I just love the bobble trim on them as well. So the tutorial is by Sew Me Something, and again I'll put a link in my description box below. That will all you will need for that is a metre of fabric, and I can't remember how much bobble trim now, but it will say in the instructions anyway for the Sew Me Something scarf. And yeah, you can make an absolutely beautiful one. Because it only takes a metre of fabric, I have used remnants before, but also it means that you can, if you're not following the So Frugal challenge, obviously, treat yourself to something a little bit extra special. So for one of mine, I used some Liberty fabric, which looked so gorgeous and felt so special to wear. So that's a really good scrap busting idea as well. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing my few ideas for the So Frugal challenge. My actual plan, what I want to make for the challenge, is a circle skirt. I'm going to use, let me just go and get it. I'm going to use some of this black broderie anglais that I've had in my cupboard for a really long time. I've got 4.5 meters of it. I bought it a couple of years ago now from Pound a Metre, and I think I paid £3 a metre, contrary to their business name. I paid £3 a metre, but yeah, really love this fabric, and I've got plenty there to make a circle skirt and possibly a little top to go with it. So that is my plans. Check out my Instagram on the 31st of March to see how it turned out and if I managed to get it all made in time. And also please head over to my fellow blogger who is blogging today, and I can't remember her Instagram name, so I'm going to pop that below. And then in the description box below, I'm also going to link to the YouTube channels for the people that are coming tomorrow as well. I hope you've enjoyed this little video. Thank you so much for watching. If you aren't subscribed, please do subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. And also, of course, tick the notification or click on the notification bell as well, so that you know when I've posted a new video. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day and happy sewing. Bye.